Right now at 11, a heartbreaking case of a mother and her young son found dead in the woods. What the boy's father is now facing after he pleaded guilty to murder.
Plus, terrifying moments in Southwest Washington. A man springs into action to save his kids after the boat they were in capsized.
But first, attacked because of their identity. Why the mom of a teenager police say was bullied and beaten at school wants everyone to hear the whole story.
This is KGW News at 11.
And good evening. We begin with that call for change from the mother of a transgender teen hospitalized after investigators say the youth was the victim of a hate crime. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Laurel Porter. Police say the 17-year-old was beaten and left with a concussion at Kalama High School. As Catherine Cook reports, the victim's mom says the attack had been brewing for months.
It was a planned attack, and they've been planning it for a while. It was just never successful until it was.
Natasha Wheeler wants everyone to know what happened to her 17-year-old child, Jessie, a student at Kalama High School.
The face was completely swollen all the way around from the impacts. There was a black eye, lumps on the head.
Natasha says it happened at Kalama June 6th. Jessie and their partner were walking together. Both identify as transgender, when police say a student used anti-gay slurs against them. Natasha says after Jessie swung at the teen in response to the harassment, a different kid jumped Jessie from behind. Police say that 16-year-old boy punched and kicked Jessie's head, leaving them with a concussion. He now faces felony assault and hate crime charges.
The world needs to see what's happening and force change, because the more people that see it, the more pressure there is to make it right.
It was in that spirit, Natasha says, that students staged a walkout at Kalama on Monday. She was there and recorded this video. And on that day, another disturbing turn. Police learned a male student reportedly told a classmate that he wanted to point a machine gun at the students who were protesting. Police later arrested that student, too.
It's simply about zero tolerance for hate speech and violence. And there's nothing political about it. It's wrong and right. So you need to protect all children in that school.
Natasha believes it was only a matter of time before Jessie was physically attacked, given the daily harassment she says they endured all year. She also points to Jessie's initiative to form a school club for LGBTQ students.
I'm extremely proud that he gave that part of himself to be targeted in order to give the other kids a community. Jessie's kind of a look out for everybody kind of kid.
Now Natasha hopes others will look out for Jessie.
After the attack, Natasha filed a grievance with the Kalama School District. She outlined multiple incidents leading up to the attack, which she says involved school policy violations and were never addressed. She's still waiting for a response from the district. Laurel, back to you.
We thank Natasha for sharing their story. Thank you, Catherine. And on Straight Talk this week, I also talked to Oregon advocates offering support for transgender people amid increasing threats. You can find that interview along with resources available to help on KGW.com and on KGW's YouTube channel.
Well, now to an update on a disturbing murder case. Today, Michael Wolff pleaded guilty to killing his 3-year-old son and the boy's mother.
As part of the plea, Wolff will avoid the death penalty, although there is a mandatory life sentence for both counts, aggravated murder and second-degree murder, with a possibility of parole after 30 years. Investigators found the bodies of Carissa Fretwell and 3-year-old Billy in the woods west of Yamhill in May of 2019. Prosecutors say Fretwell was fatally shot in the head. They say Billy's cause of death will remain undetermined. 2 months earlier, Michael Wolff had been ordered to pay about $900 a month in child support after Fretwell took him to court to prove he was Billy's father. Detectives said Wolff knew the area where the bodies were found, and he left work around the same time Fretwell and her son went missing. Today, Yamhill County District Attorney Brad Berry praised the work that led to the guilty pleas.
I think it's a very good thing for the family to know what's going to happen, to have some certainty into the end result. As I've said before, I don't think in these kind of tragic cases that there's ever closure for the family. This just is a move to close this chapter.
Wolff will be sentenced on July 20th. The DA says he'll be able to share more about the evidence that led investigators to Wolff after the sentencing. Tonight, we're one step closer to COVID-19 vaccines for children as young as 6 months old, with formal FDA approval of both Moderna and Pfizer vaccines. The agency is now amending the emergency use authorizations for both vaccine makers to include the new younger age group at 6 months to under 5. For parents hoping to vaccinate their youngest children, there is still a wait for a green light from the CDC. A panel met today and will continue talks tomorrow to review that data.
And speaking of COVID, case numbers in Oregon are a bit of a mixed bag. While health officials say they believe cases are leveling off, positive tests and case numbers were up slightly compared to last month. And that data, though, likely has significant gaps.
We assume these numbers are a dramatic undercount of the actual number of cases because we know many people are using at-home tests and not reporting the results. We also know many others are not getting tested.
State epidemiologist Dr. Dean Seidlinger there says data shows the number of people hospitalized remains relatively steady and should not overwhelm the hospital system's ability to care for patients.
This weekend, Portland celebrates Juneteenth, along with Pride Month, with the parade kicking off at the waterfront. The Pride Parade returns in person on Sunday. It starts on 8th and Cooch, heading east to NATO, then south to Waterfront Park. The 50th annual Juneteenth Oregon celebration is also making a return this weekend at Lillis Albina Park in North Portland. As these events make a comeback, local business owners hope that means a boost in sales.
A lot of our downtown restaurants had to fight really hard to survive through COVID, so it's really nice to see things slowly starting to pick back up. We're not, quite back to where we were in 2019, but it's definitely a step in the right direction.
Being out in the community definitely helps. I like to be the face of my business and show up and shake hands and really, try to push my brand.
Several local restaurants will serve dishes at the Juneteenth celebration tomorrow. Downtown businesses could potentially see another big boost in a couple of weeks when the Waterfront Blues Festival kicks off July 1st.
And speaking of Pride, let's talk a little bit about safety and security. The executive director of Pride Northwest says safety for these events is always top of mind, especially after last Saturday when 31 people with ties to a white nationalist group were charged with conspiracy to riot. They were allegedly targeting the Pride event in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Police were tipped off before the group's plan unfolded.
We always prioritize safety and security every year. And we have a really solid structure in place for that. And in a year like this, when not just because of Idaho, but coming back from not doing it for a couple of years and everything that's happened, especially in Portland, we have more communication.
Porta also says those who celebrate Pride are strongest when they come together and support one another. And that goes beyond just this weekend. For details on how you can join in, visit portlandpride.org.
And let's talk about this Sunday, Juneteenth, a new federal holiday, but one that's been celebrated by the Black community for more than a century as it commemorates the end of slavery in the United States. Pat Doris took a look at how we got here earlier on the story.
After 4 bloody years, the Union defeated the Confederacy to win the Civil War and abolish slavery in April 1865. There were nearly 4 million slaves in the U.S. at that time. Union armies began marching through the southern states, freeing thousands of slaves each day. The news took months to reach Texas, the westernmost state in the Confederacy. On June 19, 1865, Major General Gordon Granger and 2,000 Union troops rode into Galveston, Texas, and told slaves of their freedom. The people of Texas are informed that in accordance with a proclamation from the Executive of the United States, all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of personal rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves. Granger's words spread through Texas. All at once, slaves found out the war was over and they were free. Their joyous, spontaneous celebration gave birth to Juneteenth. Juneteenth, a combination of the words June and 19th, commemorates when the last enslaved people in the South were finally set free. Many slaves were met with violence or death when they tried to leave, yet the promise of freedom extinguished fear and fueled generations of indestructible people. Former slaves gathered on Juneteenth the next year and the year after that, And over the decades, Black communities observed the holiday with festive family gatherings, colorful parades, and bountiful barbecues. Texas became the first state to make Juneteenth an official holiday in 1980. Since then, all 50 states and D.C. also recognize the holiday. In 2021, President Joe Biden signed a new law commemorating June 19th as Juneteenth National Independence Day. Juneteenth is a celebration of independence, the day all Americans were truly free.
That was Pat Doris reporting. And don't forget to catch the story each weekday at 6 o'clock, only here on KGW.